Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Brother Sister Show, a family owned and operated podcast where two siblings keep in touch by talking about movies. We have four less teeth this time, but this time we're going to talk about Livia's pick, The Art of Self-Defense. But before we get into that, tell us about getting those teeth removed and what I made you watch.
Well, I guess first thing to talk about my wisdom teeth removal. Well, for one, I feel like I sound normal. In my head, I feel like I still have like I sound like I have cotton balls in my mouth or like marshmallows. I think I sound different.
It sounds like you have a cough drop, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because the way they did it is pretty gnarly. I can kind of tell you. But for one,
Trigger
I'm a
warning.
big yeah,
I
trigger
guess.
warning if you don't want to know about wisdom teeth removals, especially if yours are impacted. But I mean, I won't go too gory. And I will say, like, if you are thinking about doing it, then I would definitely do it. Like, I don't regret it at all.
Yeah, I
But
mean, they just do so much damage. They
and
could
I
do
didn't
so much.
realize. Yeah, and I guess I think me and you are on the opposite ends of the spectrum of like how, well, not opposite, but like on like pretty separate ends of what happened. Because you were what, 19?
Yeah, I was 19. It was like spring break. I mean,
Were they
I didn't
out
have to go to
already?
work.
Were
Yeah,
they
I
above
could.
the gums?
No, I could like rub my finger over it and feel where they were, but they were coming out like
They're
they
almost
weren't.
out.
Yeah, they were almost out, but coming out like in a normal way where it wasn't 90 degrees to my other teeth.
Okay, mine wasn't either. So mine were fully almost, the bottom ones were almost fully out. But they were a little like crooked. And so I
Hmm.
could tell that they were probably pushing my teeth, or they were at least like not ideal. The top ones were kind of coming out, but they were also like pointed down. Like I saw the X-ray, I should have taken a picture, but they were pointing down. So it wasn't that they were impacted to the other teeth. It's that they were like, there's something called a bony impaction. I do a lot of research when something happens, so I know it's like a little too much about wisdom teeth removals right now. But there's something where if you wait too long, like yours was probably easy. I think you said they just literally yanked them out, and
Yeah,
and you were under like something called IV sedation, so you kind of remember it, but it was fuzzy. It's like basically you went to sleep. But the reason they do that is that you can, if they were to ask you to move your arm, then you could still do it, but you won't remember it.
yeah. It was like
Basically,
it's like when I fall asleep on a bus, and
exactly.
you're like, I know where I'm at in the world.
Or or if like for instance, if Kayla's like, "Hey Anthony, move." And you move and maybe you say something to her, but the next morning you don't remember. It's
Exactly.
exactly that. Um so you did that, they pulled it out. It was probably pretty standard. Mine is it was something called bony impaction, which basically if you wait too long, then the like bone, part of your jawbone can like start to form into the roots. So basically, that not only do they have to take the tooth out, but they have to like cut down bone to be able to yank it. They can't just yank it. They have to like cut out
It's like
some bone.
it's attached.
Exactly.
Wild.
And I don't know if you might have had stitches, but they were probably pretty minor.
I don't
Mine,
even remember them.
I have so I have stitches in my cheek to like anchor, I think, some of the gums or something, and then in the neighboring teeth. Like in the gums around there, because they told me not to floss back there because there's probably stitches. Dissolvable. So there I
Yeah.
can like every now and then I'll like swallow my spit and I feel like something in there and I think that's the stitch. So it just like randomly comes out. And so that's why I have like a ton of swelling, why I sound like I have like a peppermint in my mouth. Because they had to do all that, where it was pretty intense, and I also had bruising on my cheek. I still kind of do. It's a little yellow. So it sounds a pretty intense. Excuse me, a stitch. And even right now, it kind of like I can't smile or laugh all the way because it like hurts a little bit. Or it's just right now, it's mostly sore. Like even to chew, it kind of hurts. Like my teeth around in the back are kind of sore. Just like it's all soreness. Um, but yeah, so like like I said, it's just like a little, the surgery itself. I'm glad I would never look at a video because I'm sure it's intense. But recovery for me was pretty good. But I guess my tip to people, if you're thinking about doing it, and if I guess I'll dox my age, but I'm 24, which is the time that they tell you to do it is 17 to 25. So I had until October to do like the right time to get them out. And I think the most thing I was nervous about was obviously the like surgery part of it. The anesthesia, so you were like the fogginess, I was completely put out. Like
Nice.
I don't remember falling asleep and I don't remember even getting home.
Did they just like punch you in the jaw or?
I guess so. I don't know. But Sebastian said, I guess I don't have a video. I took a couple of selfies and I made some calls that I don't remember. But for the most part, I don't, all I know is what Sebastian told me. And he said whenever he pulled out to like pick me up, because they like wheel you out in a wheelchair, obviously, because you're, out of it. And he was pulled into like a handicap spot just for a second so he could pick me up. And I told him as soon as I saw him, I said, that's illegal. And then he said, when I was in the car, I cried a lot. Because another thing I guess they don't tell you about anesthesia is that, or what they told Sebastian, they warned him, they said, because she's pretty nervous, they could tell obviously because they have like hooked me up to monitors and IVs. And the IV was like the only like painful thing, I guess, is the soreness and the IV, but that's like a pinch. I also didn't, I guess I'm dumb, but I didn't realize it's that an IV, they use a needle. And no, okay, wait. I knew that they used a needle. I didn't know the process of using a needle to put to put basically a tube in, and then they take the needle out and keep the tube in there and tape it. I didn't know that. I thought a needle was just in you.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a weird feeling because I've never had an IV in like that.
You've never donated blood or
No, I'm a
or
bad person. Well, I've taken blood out, but it's not. They don't keep it in there. They don't tape it to you. They just like hold it.
yeah.
Like I've had vials taken, and that's really like fast. So it's not. They don't. I don't think they stick it in you. But anyways, what am I talking about? Oh, so they told him because she's nervous right now, it probably will be whenever she like starts to wake up that she'll cry. Because that's what happens where like right now she's holding it in. Like she's nervous but she won't cry cuz she can
Cuz
control her
she's
emotions.
a coward.
Exactly. But whenever she is put under, she's gonna like she won't have those functions anymore, so she'll probably just cry a ton. And Sebastian said that that in the car, he didn't want to tell me this because I would laugh a lot and my face hurt, but he told me the other day that when we were in the car, because he had to go pick up like prescriptions, or he had to go like get them or something. I don't know what he had to do, but we were in the car for a little bit, and he said that I was obviously I kept crying, and then I was saying stuff, but he was like, I don't understand you, and I was like, okay, and I would just stop talking. And another thing I did is I kept telling him, I'm okay, I'm okay. Like, I just kept saying that I'm okay, I'm good. And he said he was like, I don't. It wasn't out of the ordinary because I asked him if I did anything crazy, and he said no. It was literally you when you're drunk, where you just cry a ton, and then you're like, I'm okay, I'm not that drunk, or like I'm fine.
That's
So
funny. Built
yeah.
different.
But anyways, if people are nervous about it, I will say the easiest part is going and getting the thing done. That was the easiest thing. And recovery is obviously really is kind of hard because it's like a lot of blood, there's stitches, like soreness, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I think though the thing that I'm grateful for and that I would get people or like I would have people stick to is to have somebody help you not only take you obviously because they have to, but stay with you for like 1 to like I would say 3 days if you can.
That's the golden.
And because Sebastian, shout out to him because I think he's the only reason that I didn't get, I mean, knock on wood, because I still could, but I didn't get any infections. I barely had really any pain, like any debilitating pain, because he had a constant, like they had a pretty big schedule for me that they were like every 3 hours, she has to take this, this, and this, and antibiotics. They had like a ton of stuff for me to take. And he kept me on that pretty regularly. So
What a producer. What
I
a
know.
producer.
No,
He's
he
getting
was like he had a little notebook where he was writing. I think I showed you, Anthony. He was like writing down everything. He did everything. He literally would not. I mean, I think they told me the first day. After the first day, I could like get up and do stuff, but he like forced me to stay in bed, which I think was good because you're supposed to rest. You're not supposed to like
yeah.
go and do things. Um, but yeah.
He was just getting
So
ready for getting you ready to record the pod.
honestly, he was like, we can't have you down for too long. You have to start doing shit."
My
Well,
music
they did
needs to be
tell me
played every Thursday.
they did because I was having an issue on one side with I thought it was stitches poking me, and I think it kind of was, but I didn't realize that I was actually I was like pinching my own cheek,
Oh,
and that's what I wasn't like. There was nothing poking me. I was doing it to myself with like biting down. So that was kind of rough, but I called them and like they called us back after the issue like resolved. But she did tell me that because I told her my jaw, the only issue is that my jaw's pretty swollen and that it's like hard to chew stuff. Um, and she said, "Well, the best way to like work that out is to talk." And
oh,
I hadn't been talking a lot, and so this, even though like doing this right now, it doesn't hurt, but my jaw's kind of sore. But like, yeah, I should be doing this because it'll make it better.
well, that's
And
good.
then a yawn exercise. Weird. But yeah. Oh, so the soreness is kind of rough, and the another thing that I would probably say is the worst part for me was the food, was not being able to eat solids. I didn't account for how much I would hate that.
Yeah,
Especially, I think paired with, I don't know if you took antibiotics, but they gave me antibiotics to take so that I could like fight infections before they happen. Did they do that for you or no?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
So
Maybe
for me,
it wasn't that long though. If it was,
I still have so many antibiotics, but they upset my stomach so much. And so I
Mm.
had like mashed potatoes, but I hated it. Like every food that I tried, I just absolutely hated it. Now I can eat solid food. Like I'm eating more and more solid food every day.
that's
So
good.
that's nice, but if you're worried about anything, because I'm a worrier, so I like sympathize. The only thing to worry about is the food situation. And and I mean, it's only what I did on Wednesday, and so today was the first day I could eat like a full meal. So it's truly not that bad. And like Anthony said, it's better to do it now because I feel like I had already started to get a lot of like aches back there because of my wisdom teeth. So I could already like the pain that I had for a week because there was something stuck in my gums is was already worse than any of the pain I've felt this past week.
Yeah. Plus, it'll
So
never come back
exactly.
once
And
it's
I just
all
feel I
said and
feel
done.
like accomplished. I feel like I did something, you know.
Your head. Did you weigh your head before and after? You should have done that.
No. I should have asked them. I chickened out to ask them before. I think I asked them after, but I wanted to keep my teeth. But I
Mm.
think they have to like throw them out. I don't think they can give them to you.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
it's
know.
gross.
I thought it'd be. I just wanted to see them. But like
Uh,
I think what our parents told me is that at least for mine, for yours they probably took them out whole, but sometimes for mine they would probably have to like sew them, like break them into pieces.
yeah,
So I probably wouldn't even see a full tooth.
there's probably still a piece inside of your mouth. So just
They
you'll find
did
it.
tell me that they're what I could experience after it's all healed and I like run my because you're not that's another thing you're not supposed to like touch them at all. And I always do that with my tongue, so I'm very proud of myself for not touching the stitches, not doing anything. But after they're healed, she said that if I do run my tongue over it, sometimes I'll feel like a poking. And that doesn't mean that the tooth is in there, but because they had to cut some bones, sometimes a bone spur can like pop out and they'll make its way out of the gums like after healing. And it's basically just like like a splinter.
Gross.
Yeah. She said it can smooth out naturally or they can take it out. Like
Or it's
those
just
are one
some
of the issues.
spice on your dinner.
Exactly.
Gross. Well,
But yeah.
that's good that
But
they're out.
overall, not a bad. What people always say. It's kind of like a roller coaster where the worst part is the buildup. That truly was like at least mentally the worst part was just psyching myself out and like
And that's over. It's all done. Said and done.
on to the next thing.
Probably more painful how it's flushed away.
Oh my god. I watched that. I think I watched it yesterday, right? Is that when I sent you?
Yeah.
I should have put that video on our Instagram, but because there's these fucking slugs. I do okay, so I took 3 notes because I told myself I'm gonna take notes for any time I genuinely laugh, which is only 1 note. But so the only time I've ever like genuinely laughed during the movie, and it's kind of hard to get me to laugh anyways, but is when he first gets flushed down and he gets and like a fish pops up and he says,
Mhm.
"Are you my dad?" It's supposed to be Nemo, right?
Yeah.
That made me laugh a lot, and I was really upset that how much it made me laugh. And
Mission accomplished.
I did like the slugs until that moment that I sent you, where at the end of the movie they started to sing "Proud Mary" out of nowhere, and I was like, "Oh fucking damn it!"
That wasn't a
I,
part of the pitch for the movie. They just like kind of snuck that in, and then like the executives saw it and was like,
well, and you know what? That's the moment that I realized I had seen this movie before.
"That's good."
Is that very end? I was like, "Oh fuck!" That's how I know. Like that's why everything's so familiar.
Yeah.
I've seen this fucking movie. And then another, just a question that I need to ask. So that frog, he's just stocking jars of his sperm, huh? Of his
I
jizz.
I legitimately haven't seen that movie in so long.
Oh, there's okay. So there's a moment where he like he reveals his plan, and do you remember when he like pulls back the curtain?
Oh, and
And
it's a
because
bunch
we
of
see,
his
yeah, and it's
tadpoles,
just
right?
a
Or
bunch. It's a jars of his jizz, and as soon as they open it, some of the rats that work with him, one of them was like, "Oh," and that's because at first I thought that I was like, "So that's what that is, right? Like that has to be it." And then as soon as they had that disgusted reaction, I was like, "Yeah, this movie's disgusting."
are you glad we didn't talk about it on the podcast?
Yes.
Do you think we could have done one?
Mhm. Just a me of making fun of how much I hate it.
Okay.
Of that, the whole scene of the house that she has.
Oh,
Stabilize that shit. Like what?
I
The
remember
emo
that.
kid in the pot. That kind of made me laugh. It didn't make me laugh. It made me smile how much he was just when he was just like walking around in the flower pot. But I mean, it was okay. The scary thing was the beginning, the animation of the ad, like the fucking people. That scared me. That was creepy as
Oh,
hell.
yeah. Yeah,
The animation, that animation, like it seemed like one of those like movies that cost like $20. The animation at the beginning. And I was like, is it really this bad? I don't remember it being this bad. But then it
I
got better.
I really haven't seen it. And
But you made me watch it.
yeah, I was gonna watch it, but I lost track of time, and
It did go by really fast.
that's good. I didn't want to. It was a treat. I could have made you watch something else, but flushed away is a treat.
I guess.
Is that all you watched?
I've been watching ER a lot.
Okay.
I finally got Sebastian into it. Because he had started watching it from where I was, and I was like on season like 12 or something.
Yeah.
And and then I asked him because I told him I was like, oh, I won't watch it without you because you're kind of into this like storyline. But then I texted him and I was like, would you be mad if I started watching it? Because I really wanted to watch it. And then he texted me and said, you can watch it because I've started from the very beginning.
Oh.
And it's basically it's not really a spoiler because they're so far apart and they have different like they just rotate different people.
Right.
You kind of you kind of don't really there's not one storyline that you have that he can spoil for himself.
I
Other
see.
than knowing that certain people are dead or moved away or whatever, but yeah, but he's into it now, so mission accomplished. And now I don't really feel like watching it anymore.
He's gonna watch all of it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I like it, but I've already seen all of it.
There's no point.
I'm probably still gonna finish it. I want to build up to the last episode. I didn't realize how many seasons there were because I'm on season 12, and I was like, oh,
Oh
maybe
gosh.
maybe this is the last one, but they have 15.
Oh, that's quite a commitment right there.
Yeah, but I told him that you're gonna start to feel like I want to make a video that's like me after one episode of ER, or me after one season, and you're like, oh, I really like that show, and then me after 10 seasons of ER, and you're like watching because they'll run in and they'll talk about people's like, their heart, their, I don't even know the terms, but like they'll say like he has a 58 over 60. They like talk about their like stats or whatever, not stats.
Their stats.
What I think they call sats or something, but basically, like what's going on with them.
Right.
And it'll be me just like nodding and be like, oh, that's not good. Like when they're like, he's tacky, and I'm like, oh no, fuck, that's bad. I know what an MI is. Like I just know so much about the human body, and then it's gonna
There you go.
leave my
Go to med
brain.
school. Might as well.
No, I would never. I'll just watch ER.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. What else?
That's it. That's
That's
truly
it.
it. Mm-hmm.
Well, I forgot to talk about this. I don't think I did. I watched Dead to Me. Finished season 1 and 2.
I started that show,
God, it's a good show.
and then I stopped watching it. One of the ladies in it was I think so, is in ER.
Oh.
Is the
I don't
lady
know.
that plays Velma in Scooby Doo? She's in that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in ER.
Good for her. What a good show. What a good show. My friends recommended it to me. Shout out Destiny. Ricardo watched it similar time as me. He finished it before I did, but that show is good. I'm sure other shows do it, but this was the one where I like really recognized and was like, this is it. Where that show will set up a big reveal, right? You're like, oh, I know this is gonna happen. It guides you towards a big thing that's gonna happen, a big event. And because you're so focused on that event, you don't even see the big like twist coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And that show is just, it does that perfectly. Very excited for the third season. They're making a third one. It's pretty funny. I don't know if you want to go rewatch it or pick it up.
I think I watched the first season, and I started the second season. I don't know why I stopped watching it, but
second season gets a lot better. And then Kayla started watching Jane the Virgin. So it was like one of those. It's probably how Sebastian was with ER, but I've already seen Jane the Virgin. Actually, not all of it. I haven't finished the
that's
entire.
another one where I started it and then I stopped watching it.
Exactly. So we've been watching that while we eat, and then I think that's it. I haven't really watched anything besides the movie. I don't really have any movie news. There's
I
like
don't either.
there's stuff, but I don't really care. Like, I really don't care. Like,
I saw that Mortal Kombat was pushed back. I didn't see why.
oh, was it?
Yeah.
That kind of sucks. I know the Flash, Billy, what's his last name? Crudup?
Oh, he was replaced.
Yeah, he was replaced, which
With
I don't know
who?
why. I don't remember his name.
No.
Someone who kind of looks like him, if you give a 2-second glance. 2 seconds probably too long. Yeah, I don't really know what else is new. What is new is user Ricardo1557, Ricardo, the boy Ricardo, gave a review of the podcast on iTunes.
Oh, that's nice. What's
A
it say?
5-star review. And it reads,
Mhm.
"This is pod really opened my eyes when watching movies.
Nice.
I always look forward to each episode, especially the movies that I would not normally pick myself. Keep doing what you're doing."
Oh, that's
Exclamation point.
nice.
Shout out to Ricardo.
Thanks for not correcting his grammar and reading it exactly
Yeah,
how he submitted it.
as he intended. I don't want to.
What we really want is for people to know, to not be scared to send a review,
Yeah,
Know that we won't make fun of them. We'll
I don't.
accept them how they are.
That's the artistic decision, and I won't alter it.
I respect it.
That's really it.
Well, thank you, Ricardo.
Thanks.
Very nice.
Let's go to the break.
After being attacked on the street, a young man enlists at a local dojo led by a charismatic and mysterious sensei in an effort to learn how to defend himself from future threats in The Art of Self-Defense. Written and directed by Riley Stearns, starring Jesse Eisenberg, Alessandro Nivola, and Imogene Poots.
As for the monies, estimated budget, we don't know that number. Opening weekend, about $114,000 US, grossed about $2.4 million worldwide, about $2.4 million. I helped contribute opening weekend, by the way.
I think I went. I don't know. I didn't go opening weekend, but I did go to the theaters to see this. I think. No, I didn't. I'm lying. Sorry. Go on.
Critics gave a weird lie. Like this is so unnecessary. Critics gave it a 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb, a 84% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 65% on Metacritic. By the way, I saw this in theaters. No, I didn't.
Did I really? You'll never know.
Christian Bale is a method actor. Oh, wait, he's not.
Is that what I did last time?
No, I did that.
Oh. I wonder if this is how it feels like to have Botox, where you can't move your face.
Maybe.
Okay.
You should try it and compare.
Maybe. Okay. So the first thing I do want to talk about this movie is that I think the inspiration. Well, I don't know if I'll say it's the inspiration. Is that the writer and director Riley Stearns trains and teaches Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Very awesome.
So that's why I think it's the inspiration, because it feels like, I mean, obviously he probably, I don't know. I want to know the specific instance that made him think about this, because it has a lot of major themes to this movie, but I wonder if it's like a bunch of little things, if it's a specific person that he met that he was like, oh, that needs to be a character, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure, because like to be able to train people in any martial arts, right? You have to like meet so many people. You have to learn from people, and I feel like
At
this
every level
movie,
too.
yeah, it's just a culmination of all of the characters that he met, which is really funny that there's someone out there who's either exactly like or shares a characteristic of one of these characters, because that's so funny. A lot of these characters make me laugh.
I think we all do, though, because I feel like, well, I guess this is getting too ahead of ourselves, but I feel like there's the three main characters cover three like major different themes, or not themes, like I'll say like a stereotype or an archetype,
Right.
but we'll get into that. So I do want to talk about my history with the martial arts, and I remember I went to I think it was Taekwondo.
Really?
Is that a thing? It was something where you like chop boards.
Taibo?
No, it's not Taibo. I wish it was Taibo. And never went back. I think me and Emily went to one meeting and we were like, yeah, it's not for us.
Was it like the first one's free?
I think so.
Like
And it was when we were kids on a military base. So I think they were all free, no matter what.
Oh,
But,
yeah. I never did anything like that.
I don't know why. I think our parents, God bless them, they wanted us to be into active stuff, and like you were, but
the only one with asthma. The only one who was into.
Yeah, and I tried every sport that they wanted me to, and I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. And I tried that one. They did do like the boards thing, but I don't know if I mean, it wasn't like in the movie where it was an actual board. They were these like plastic things that are held together, and they are like, I don't think it was like a level or something, but like level 1 is easy to break, and then they're like, as you get further up, then they're harder to like break
Just
them.
magnets or something.
I don't know, but it was that was the only cool thing, and I was like really interested in that. But then when they were like, you have to do this and stretch, and like, and I was like, no, thank you.
It's funny, some boars, man.
Yeah, I just want to punch something. I should in kickboxing, but no. And to this day, nothing. All right, so we start with Casey, our main character played by Jesse Eisenberg, sitting in a diner by himself. And he's like, I don't know, he just looks like strange. Like he's just sitting there reading a paper and just has his hands in his lap. And I don't know if I've
Yeah,
ever seen somebody just sit like that. Like I'm usually have my maybe that's the most polite way to sit because I usually have like my elbows on the table or I never just sit like
I've sat like
with
that
my
before.
arms like that. And if we're talking about self-defense, I feel like that's the worst way to sit.
It's like the most vulnerable position.
Yeah, you're
Vulnerable
just like,
position.
just take me, just take my neck.
It's like the equivalent of just like sitting on your hands.
Exactly. That's yeah. He might as well have. And so he's doing that, reading a paper, and I think it's a French couple walks in, and they're having a pretty illicit conversation, but only in French. And I really I think it's funny when people. I think Sebastian's had like he's joked this before, where he was like, "Oh, I can't wait for you to like learn Spanish so we can talk shit about people." And like nobody knows what we're saying. And he was obviously joking, but I think people actually think that.
Oh
But
yeah.
you never know what because when he like after that after he leaves we see him like learning French in his car and
Uh,
so that's why I was thinking like you would look at him and you're like yeah he doesn't know French but like you never know and it makes me think about this story that I heard Charlize Theron tell in I think a podcast or an interview or something where she's African and so she speaks Afrikaans. And I think she was like at a airport with her mom who also speaks Afrikaans and so they were talking to each other. I hope I'm saying that right. But they're talking to each other in their language and I think they're talking shit about somebody or they're just like talking about people around them because they're like I mean if you're going to think of a language that a lot of people wouldn't know in the US then that's like one of them, right?
right.
And so they're talking about people or something and then somebody came up to them and like started talking to them in their language. And I
Hmm.
don't remember if they called them, I think they were kind of slightly calling them out for doing that, but they were like basically trying to tell them like, "Hey, I know what you're saying." And so even that, like even if you tried to speak like Latin or something, I mean Latin probably not, but any language you can think of, I would still be nervous too
Oh yeah.
because like you never know. Also, just don't. I mean, I don't know. It just feels like a weird thing to like do that, but
It's just I love the way it's cut because they say those illicit things immediately. It's like he's like it cut to him in his car and then in French or in English. It's like now you have a good understanding of the French language. Like
mhm.
you understand.
Like he knew exactly what they were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
And
perfect.
you could tell too because the like look on his face, he was like smiling or like he just like looked weird.
Mhm.
But yeah, I really like that. And that's what I really like about this movie is the whole like showing part of it, like showing not telling part. But I have a note about that I think a little bit later. So there's like a fly in my fucking room. I don't know if you can see it in the camera.
No,
Okay.
you're good.
Um so then we see Casey at work and he's very awkward. And even in the guys in the break room are like astonished when he tries to talk to them. They're like, who the fuck are you? And we can quickly tell by his demeanor, the way he talks to people, he's very agreeable, very shy, quiet guy that just wants to fit in because he's trying to talk to them about what they're talking about. But it's just not working. I think they were talking shit about their boss, and he was like, "Well," or they were like saying they want to burn his house down, and he was like, "Well, I did go to a cookout at his house, and I saw that he has a kid. So, like, if you're gonna do that, I don't think you should because they have a kid." And they're like, we're not serious." He's just very awkward. And then and he sees that his coworker has this magazine, which is kind of a big part of this movie, weirdly. Um, and after hours, he sees this magazine again on the coworker's desk, and he makes copies of it, like in the copier machine, which is possibly the saddest thing I've ever seen on film. I've seen very sad things in movies, but this might be the saddest thing because
And
he
he
goes
like
home
staples
and he
it.
has like and he has like a stapled copy that he's just flipping through. I can't even imagine something like sadder than that.
And like why?
Or just
Does it-
steal the magazine. That's a thing that I love is that you know so much about his character by that one act that he sees this magazine from this shitty guy and he still doesn't steal it. He just photocopies it.
Yeah, it's such a
No.
long process to copy every single page,
Every
and
single page.
I'll just to read it sadly
To
at
see
home.
a couple of tits. Like, what?
Weird.
Oh, Casey. And then he goes home and he has probably the cutest dog I've ever seen.
Mm.
This dog is just on his little blanket, just sitting there looking at him. He looks like he was just like, I don't know, he's like his own little character where you can like tell what he would say if he was a person. He's like, "Oh, you're home? Hi."
The quiet. It's like an old lady roommate.
Exactly. Like I
Yeah.
like that he's on a knitted blanket cuz I kind of believe that he knitted it himself. That little dog.
For sure. Oh, definitely.
But this dummy forgot to buy his dog some food. So he has to go to the store at night to get dog food. And I also like this like subtle the whole showing not telling thing of I don't know if you notice this when he goes to the store and they have all the like colorful packages of dog food and so many options and he goes for the brown bag that says dog food on it. It has like
Yeah.
no distinguishable features, like it's just the dog food.
Yeah, that was one thing I was gonna mention because
Mhm.
like I definitely noticed that this time. Uh, I don't
I
even
noticed
remember
that.
that the first time.
Me neither. But I really like that like subtle thing about it.
Yeah, he's bland. He's a ordinary person.
It also makes me think about my own purchases at the store. Like I also buy the same shit
It's
all
like
the
when
time.
people like you run into someone that you know and they look in your cart and you're like trying to cover it or something
Oh
because then
my
they can see what
god,
you buy.
yes. Or when you don't even realize what it looks like until you're leaving. Like I
Right.
remember, I think the other day. Well, first the before my wisdom teeth procedure, like my cart was so sad. It was just applesauce, Jello, soup, and gauze and Tylenol. Like how fucking sad is that? Or there's some times where I don't really make a list and you can tell because in my cart is just like chips, frozen pizza. Like I look like I'm a fucking college student.
3 ramen because that's all you can
Yeah. And then but then I have really proud moments where I look and there's like a fruit,
buy.
some broccoli, but those are very few and far between. But yeah. Maybe that's what we should do next time. We next time we go to the store, we'll just like send each other pictures of our grocery cart.
Yeah, and the
We should start
Discord.
an Instagram for that.
Check out my cart.
Yeah.
Graham the
Ooh,
cart.
that's a good check out my cart because you like check out the grocery store. Very good.
I'm not even
Clever.
proud of it.
I'm proud of it. And I didn't even say it. All right. And so as he's walking, two people approach him on a motorcycle twice. The first time they drive around and they ask him if he has a weapon. And he says, I think he says no, right? Which like why
Yeah.
say no? And the second time they chase him and they just beat the absolute shit out of him.
Hey, they mess him up.
And he wakes up in a hospital with his cute little dog there. I don't know how the dog is there.
I was just
And
thinking about that right now.
yeah, how the fuck did like who brought his dog there? Did he go home? No, because he was knocked out, right? I don't know. I mean, I don't think it matters, but it really bothered me, the logistics of it. And he stays home after this to recover. He's having a rough time, as you can imagine. He's kind of like screening calls from people, not really, well, not
It's
people,
one
because there's only
person.
one person, his boss. He's drinking during the day. And when it comes time to feed his dog, he can't gather the courage to go to the store because it's night again. Which I was thinking too, like, if you suffered a traumatic event because you forgot dog food, wouldn't you stock up on dog food?
I'm never getting dog food again. It
Right?
just slipped his mind.
I guess. But he, like,
You
when
know,
the moment where he looks at the dog and he's like, sorry, I can't. I can't get you food. And he makes him like the saddest meal
yeah,
with
like
like
splits his
beans
leftovers
and.
between.
Oh, poor guy. The dog's not mad though. He's fine with it. So he decides that enough is enough. And so the first thing he tries to keep himself safe is by buying a gun.
The all of the characters in this movie have such an interesting way to communicate with other humans because they
That's why
just
I think
state
it's so
facts.
much. I know, but it feels. I don't know if I said this on the pod last time, but it feels like a Napoleon Dynamite kind of movie, which is
It
probably why I
does.
like it so much.
He's like, I'm looking for a gun that will fit in my hand, a handgun.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like, wouldn't isn't that what you would want? I guess is it good? That's like the bait, the like base requirement is that it fits in your hand.
Yeah,
He's not wrong. But I forgot about this part, but he doesn't actually buy the gun. He just like registers for it, I think. Um, but then after this, I think he decides that it's still not enough. So he walks into a dojo where he meets Sensei, which is the only way I could describe him at this point was he's an interesting man, an interesting character.
yeah, because we see him teaching Sensei.
Hmm.
We see him teaching, and he's the way he speaks about karate is very interesting. To the is it the kids or no? It's not the kids, right?
No, it's so Anna, played by Imogene Poots, is teaching kids, but Sensei teaches adults.
That's right. Just the way he talks about karate is really funny.
Like his like first thing is, I don't know, I forgot exactly how we talked about it, but he said that it's like a language and that
Yes,
you're like you use your body to talk about it or something, and he was like, I'm going to like you like
he's
did
doing all
certain
this.
moves.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a fucking weirdo, but yeah, just like I don't know, just I guess I don't know. I don't want to seem like I'm talking about people that like martial arts as if they're weirdos. They're not. The way that this guy likes it is weird. He's one of those people that just takes stuff like too seriously, like
it's funny because it's probably a real person. Like that's probably
you
like
know.
those are the little things I think. I think the director slash writer, pulled from real life. I mean, maybe
But
not so
just
much the
even
whole like masculine thing, like taking that to the extreme. Maybe that is. Maybe
it's
he
like
like.
dialed to 100, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Like the masculine man and what Casey was like. There's like people that are that those ways, right? If that's a spectrum, there's people that are on the ends, but there's also people in between. And just
Yeah,
but also the people are on the ends, like more often than not, they're just like not fun to deal with, you know.
yeah.
um, but Casey likes it. He decides to stop by the next day to take a class. And this is where he learns about the dojo rules because he immediately broke one. But Anthony, will you do the honors in giving us the rules, all 11 of them?
Number one, no shoes on the mat. Two, no
Of
food or
course.
drinks on the mat.
Hmm.
Three, bow when stepping on slash off the mat. Four, always bring your belt. Five, always or wash your gi. I think it's gi.
Yeah.
Six, respect your opponent. Seven, tap or hear it snap. Eight, tap or take a nap. Nine, stay hydrated. 10, if it works, use it. And 11, guns are for the weak.
There it is. I mean, that's what his dojo's all about,
The 11 commandments.
of the dojo,
Yes.
of sensei. And then Henry, which is just I guess some guy that's taking classes.
A blue
He
belt.
Yeah, so he breaks down the belt system and what the stripes mean to Casey. So the belt system, I mean, I think it's standard to what the regular one is. Like white is when you start out, it's like the lowest level,
Before you even
and
get
then
color.
exactly, and then you work your way to a black belt, which I think only Sensei has at this moment, right?
Yeah.
Or no?
Hmm.
And then, but something that's different are these stripes. So red is basically just tape, like put around these belts. So red is ones that instructors get. And I think he jokes like that means you've killed somebody. And then Casey's like, "What?" And he's like, "I'm just kidding. It's just for the instructors." And then black is for select students, green belt and up. And he doesn't really say exactly what that means. He just says like sensei picks certain people and gives
Hmm.
them a black stripe. And so we get to their first lesson, which is where they're teaching how to punch with your foot and kick with your fist.
Because your whole life, you've been taught that a foot can only kick and a fist can only punch. I like when
Exactly.
he works with this other guy, and he says to Casey, he says, "Don't think of it as me hitting you. Think of it as you hitting my foot," because he like kicks
Mhm.
him.
And
And
he
Casey's
says,
like, "That makes perfect sense." It's so funny. He's like immediately attached. You get to see that.
oh, he's sold instantly. But I mean, part of you, at least I'm trying to, this is the second time I've seen it, but I remember the first time watching it, I was kind of like obviously creeped out by the sensei guy, but I was also happy that Casey, I mean, you get happy or you're happy and you can't help but feel happy when somebody finds what they feel like is their place, right?
Right.
So I'm happy for him. And the beginning is like it's really hard not to feel sorry for this guy. So you like want him to be happy. And we're happy. I mean, even though if I'm like I said, I'm like, I'm not 100%, but like, okay.
Yeah.
Um, which is probably what the parents of that people in the kids in the dojo thought. They're like, I'm not feeling this guy, but like whatever. Um and this movie is also very, very funny. I think we've said, and it's kind of hard not to picture this movie as being very funny, but just to have like there's like good little lines and just like the way that the characters act are just hilarious. But there's a couple of lines within the span of a minute with just this interaction of Sensei talking to Casey about entering into a class. And the first thing that made me laugh so hard is him. He asked him what's his name, and he said Casey, and then I forgot the last name and he
Davis.
said Davis. And then Sensei says, "Oh, it's kind of a feminine name," like for no reason. And Casey's just like, "Okay." And the second is he asked when or how old Casey is, and Casey says, "Well, I'm going to turn. I think he said 36 next month." Is
Yeah.
what I think he said. And he said, "Oh, but do you know what that is in months? Because the system needs it in months." I couldn't
The
stop laughing.
the pause, I could tell that they made a pause just for the audience to laugh. Like after that, because
Yeah,
I laughed so hard.
I needed it too because I need it in months.
Like who made that system? That's like a terrible
Yeah.
system.
So funny. And also, I wonder if it's part of me. I think because of I know how the end happens. Part of me is like, well, is that just the sake of being funny, or is that the way that he likes to like emasculate people? You know, he doesn't want you to tell like imagine in a meeting being in a meeting with a guy like that, and he's like, "How old are you?" And you're like 21, and he's like, "No, in months." Come on, dude. Like like he's like everybody would know that or something.
The
I just feel
system
like
does
it's
it
the
in
way of
months.
this guy like putting himself above other people, or it's just a funny line. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. If I ever start a company, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. All right. And so Casey is then after he signs up, he's busy learning the ropes, even too busy to go to work. We hear a voicemail where his boss explains that he hasn't even been there for 2 months, and he's kind of begging him at this point to come back. But then
It's
we go to the oh,
I just wanted to say it's funny because at the beginning of everything, he listens to his boss's message, and the answering machine almost has like a personality of its
oh
own,
yeah.
because at the beginning, the female voice is like, "No new messages," or like your box is empty, whatever. And then after he gets all the messages from the boss just constantly calling, she's like, "Please empty your your
Please.
your message box."
She's like pleading him. It's not just like please. She's like please.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
forgot
so
about
funny.
that. Just like little details that are so that like I don't know. I mean, I don't really know if they contribute to the story all that much, but they give you a pause, and
Yeah,
it's just one of those things that I feel like I wouldn't think of if I was a filmmaker. So I really like that he added that. Um, and we get to our next class, which is a very interesting one. And this is where they have people like more people are there, and Henry tells Casey it's because they have their promotion ceremony. And at this promotion ceremony, Casey moves his way up to yellow belt and he's beaming. He's so happy. But he's the only one because Henry, who thought he was going to get, I think, either a black belt or one of those black stripes.
Black
Um,
stripes.
yeah, he thought he was going to get one, but he didn't. And Anna also didn't really get anything. She didn't get, not only did she not get anything, but another guy got promoted above her. And she is probably one of the most capable, but behind Sensei, I guess. She's one of the more capable people there.
Yeah.
Um, and even though Casey's pretty high at this point, because like I said, he got promoted pretty fast, it ends pretty quickly because he gets assaulted at the grocery store. And at his next meeting or class, I guess, he can't break any of the boards that they're supposed to break.
It's so funny. At the grocery store, he gets everything yellow.
Mm-hmm.
He's
And
his
I don't know
really
if you
yellow.
noticed, like he's like wearing
Mhm.
a bunch of yellow, and like throughout the movie, because spoiler alert, he doesn't move his way up. He just
Yeah,
stays yellow the whole movie.
that's
Yeah.
so funny.
And then at this point, Sensei has a talk with Casey, and it's an interesting talk just about like how he's struggling, but it really only has to do with like masculinity. And he's told, because I think he tells him, this is when Casey's like, I wish I could wear my belt all the time
Hmm.
because then people would know. Like it's like he doesn't feel, I guess he only feels powerful when he's wearing the belt, and he doesn't like adopt to the energy of being somebody that wears a yellow belt.
Right.
He also tells him like don't listen to the music that you listen to, like listen to metal because
Adult
that's manly.
contemporary.
And don't like anything that you like. So even though you don't want to like change your dog, um don't want to go to France, you should want to learn German and go to Germany. Like he's just like telling him all these things that he shouldn't. And one thing I want to ask you, this is up to you how deep you want to get into this, but I wonder how it made me wonder how many men have a resemblance of this conversation with another man, or throughout your life, like what your relationship with masculinity is. And do you even have a conversation that sounds like the one that Casey is having? Or do you just know it? Like, are you just given the idea of what you should be through media or through your friends or through your, people above you? What was that like? Because I obviously don't know that experience.
Right. I don't think there's ever, at least for me, a direct talk. I feel like we said, a lot of this movie is just things dialed to the max. So
Mm.
even if I had a conversation with someone, whoever that was, about the things that I should like, whether it's like the first thing that came to my mind is football because I don't really care about football. I mean, I care about
Mhm.
other sports. I'll watch basketball, but like football is just not something I never really got into, and I know a lot of people in our family and the surrounding men that I've known always like football, and I've always, I don't know, I just don't really care about football, and it was never like a straight discussion, but I've always felt like, oh, I should learn how football is played. I should
Mhm.
at least, at the very least, learn some players, what the rules are, stuff like that. Um, so I guess it is kind of subliminally thrown at you by the people that you grow up around or what media you consume. But I think it's less for me the media that I've consumed. I don't think a lot of like what I can remember watching growing up, I was like, I need to watch more gory stuff or more masculine, in quotes, masculine stuff. So
Do you ever feel like, cuz so that's one thing that you feel that maybe you feel like was pushed on you, but do you ever feel like something was taken away from you, like how Sensei is trying to tell him
uh,
don't try to learn French even though he's already learned it. Don't try to, don't try to do all these things. Do you think there's anything that, I mean, because this movie, another spoiler, I guess, but like not really, that this movie is about toxic masculinity. Do you think there's anything in your life that you've missed out on or that toxic masculinity has taken away from you?
uh not necessarily. No, I don't think so. Nothing I can think of. I mean, I'd have to like reflect or something. I don't know. Nothing that I can really think about. Top of the head.
Did this movie make you think about instances like that though? Like make you reflect on your masculinity and like what your idea is of being a man?
No, not in that sense. I mean, I've told Kayla this before, but I've like it feels weird to describe myself as a man, and I've
Oh,
never.
really?
Yeah, I don't know why. It might be because I just see myself as still a teenager, and I
Mm.
haven't, I don't know, done much with my
You
life.
haven't
But
earned your black belt. You're still at yellow.
yeah, I haven't honed that skill of being a man or whatever. I don't know.
That's a weird thing too, is that I feel like this society, I guess, and what this movie is perpetuating is that it is supposed to be given to you. Like the fact that you
Right.
don't feel like you are a man is because somebody one day needs to come and like give you a belt that resembles that you are a man.
I need to be
And
knighted by Chuck Norris
exactly.
or something.
And you need to, and not only will you need to know that, like not only does Casey have to be like given that in a ceremony, but he has to be able to wear it all the time. And the fact that he can only wear it in the dojo, he's like, yeah, but that's not enough because nobody else in the outside world knows I'm a man.
Right. That is interesting.
Something to think about.
What I did think about, not
Like,
really
who
so
allows you
much.
to be a man is basically the question. But yeah, sorry, go
I don't know.
on.
Uh, just one part that I just remember. I haven't been in a locker room in so long, and like had to change. Like normally, I go to the gym here in the
Oh yeah,
apartment.
that scene was triggering.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when he first changes, and when uh, cutting a little head, but when they have his first night class
Hmm.
and they do the stretching and talk about how like only a man's hand is are strong enough to stretch another man or to massage another man. I always felt weird in locker rooms because it's like, I mean, I get it because it's just like easier to have all kids in the same room of
Yeah.
but I always felt awkward because it's just like all these kids I don't know. So that part of the movie that I was like where I could see Casey be extremely uncomfortable and wanting
Hmm.
to not necessarily be a part of what they're doing, but recognizing that he has to.
Hmm.
And then when Sensei is like, "You, I don't want you to be here for your first time or whatever," that
Yeah.
that I what's the word? I felt
You identified with?
yeah with how Casey felt.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. And then you makes you think about like this is another like thing to go down, but gender itself. Like
right,
why you have to even separate it because I'm just uncomfortable to get undressed in front of anybody. Why does it have to be just with women? You know, it's
yeah,
like either way. But okay, let's get to that. So then after this conversation, Casey gets a black stripe, which is very unprecedented, it feels like, that a yellow belt would have a black stripe. And it instantly gets to his head because when he goes to work, it seems like the next day, but I feel like the timeline in this is like kind of skewed. But he punches his boss in the throat. He also is like he's working, and then he has on his computer, which I forgot about this, but he has like just a picture of boobs on
hmm
his computer, which is very inappropriate. He yells at his coworkers, and he tells his dog that he can't pet him anymore, and the dog's just like, okay. Um, and then we get to the night class that you're talking about, and Henry shows up uninvited,
Ugh,
which I remember. This is kind of where the movie is weird up until this point, and it like has a turn,
dark turn.
which I should have checked what the time was if it was like middle. It would I don't want to like equate it too much to Parasite, but it felt kind of like that. But even though I knew where it was going, but I wish I would have been in the mindset of like not seeing this movie before. But
Right.
it does kind of feel it does feel like a little like you think it's going to go that way, but then you don't. You have in your mind that it could go that way, but you don't think it will. Is what I'm trying to
Yeah, I
say.
felt like Henry, whatever his name is, because
And it happened so fast.
he was like excited to be there because it was his
Yeah.
first night class.
but he gets punished, and his punishment is that he gets a broken arm, and it's not even just like slightly broken. It looks like the bone is like out of the skin.
It's like the
Um,
gnarliest way to break someone's arm.
exactly. I mean, I kind of impressive the way he did it too,
Yeah.
honestly. Um, and when I first watched it, I remember when I first watched it, I did gasp
Oh yeah, that's a
because it scared the shit out of me. And yeah, like this night class is pretty intense. It's basically just a bunch of metal music playing, and they're just beating the shit out of each other.
nightclub
Um,
vibes. Fight
exactly.
club.
I
I
mean,
don't know. I said nightclub.
oh, and I said exactly. I didn't even correct you. Um, and then after this big display of what I call machismo, they strip down and massage each other, which just feels like such a, which I mean, also is such a great way to kind of turn it on you, because you the whole time throughout this movie, I'm like, this guy, his like perception of being a man is so strange. Like Sensei, I'm talking about. I'm like, this guy is so fucking weird.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they like take off their clothes and they're in their underwear and they start massaging each other, I'm like, oh, that's funny, that's weird, but like, why do I think that? So I like that
Yeah.
they did that, where like, obviously the sensei, the way the reasoning that he does that is very strange, where he's like what you said, only men can massage other men basically because women's hands are too weak. That's strange, but like also the imagery of men massaging each other, it shouldn't really be funny to me, like it's just happening. So I like that they kind of turn it on you. I hope that's what they were trying to do. But and then instead of being scared away, which I would have been, Casey becomes quite the teacher's pet. So the next day, I didn't really talk about it, but Anna beats the shit out of the guy that got the
Oh
belt
yeah.
over her, and then she like basically has a like her own little like dressing room, but it's like really hidden away, and she looks like she's being put in timeout basically, like that's how far away from everybody it is, and she has to um I forgot what they called it, not wind down, but calm down, or I forgot what they called it, but basically just like massage each other.
I think they called it winding down.
Yeah. And I don't remember if anything specifically happened, but after that, Casey gets, because this whole belt thing is still in his head, he gets belts made for them to wear outside of the dojo, and Sensei is very happy about this. And honestly, when I first watched it, I was like, I hate that I think this, but that's a really good idea.
It is.
I
Even
really
like the
like that.
black belt. That's so
Or the
funny.
brown belt, like, yeah, I just like
It's a
how
normal
they're all
belt.
like wearing them after. It's kind of cute. And then he even gets a job at the academy because he said he got unexpectedly let go, even though he punched his boss in the throat. Um, but Sensei hires him to do bookkeeping for the dojo. And one night, Sensei calls Casey because he says that he saw the guys that mugged him. So Casey shows up to this place, and Sensei basically forces him to fight the guy. So he punches him. The guy falls to the floor and basically just cracks his head wide open,
I
and he's
hate that in
bleeding.
movies when they
I
do that.
know.
When that because it's just like they do it so good every single time because it's just silence right after the crack. The
I know. Oof. It's like your stomach just drops because
Mhm.
it's so quiet. Ugh. And then Casey turns around after that. He sees the blood coming out, and Sensei is recording the entire thing. And he says he does it to, quote, record his progress. But it turns out Casey like takes the keys from the guy and he goes to this bike lock, and it turns out that he wasn't going towards the motorcycle. He owned a bike, which is even sadder because this guy was, I think he was like pretty drunk, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's still, but you shouldn't obviously ride a bike when you're drunk. But the fact that he wasn't, like, at first I was like, fuck, like this guy's kind of an idiot for trying to drive a motorcycle while drunk. And I mean,
Uh,
that doesn't mean that you should get beaten up. But like I was like, that's sad that he like was doing the more responsible thing of riding a
right.
bike instead of driving a vehicle. And he still got mugged. And who's to say he was gonna ride it? What if he was just gonna walk it home? So that just makes me even sadder that he was like
Yeah.
trying to be responsible.
In
But
case he
he
definitely knows that, like,
yeah,
regardless of it not being hit the right person, he's
he seems pretty like upset about it.
pretty shook.
And then we find out that the dog was killed.
Oh man,
The most upsetting death in movie history, honestly.
It's so funny though, the way that the vet, he's like,
Oh, please.
I'm sure it was a punch, but the way the bruising is, it's from a foot. And that tells Casey everything that he needs to know, that it was someone kicked his dog, or someone punched his dog with their foot. Oh my goodness.
With somebody else's foot.
Yes.
Yeah, I really love that moment. Where that's like, because not only does he know, but the audience is like, "Oh, there's only one way. There's only one way that could have happened." And
Only a
this is
couple
when
people know how to do that.
exactly. And this is when Casey gets a little unhinged, but it's okay because Sensei tells him, because he goes there and he's like messing with the rules and he just like is upset. I think he's like eating on the mat and just like breaking all the rules.
When he
But
does that, it's so funny too, because he's like, I'm hungry, and then he eats, and he's like, oh, I'm thirsty from breaking all the rules or something like
mhm,
that. Like the way he.
so funny. And honestly, I feel like Jesse Eisenberg just talks like that. Like he does it
Oh,
so well that I'm like, yeah, there's no way he doesn't just like speak like that. Um, but it's okay to Sensei because he says that only women can control their emotions. So men are allowed to just yell and do stupid shit like that. And this Sensei guy is really starting to piss me off at this point. And then during the night class, Casey learns who really beat him up. It was them because they are taking him on a round of doing whatever the fuck they're doing. And so they just go around in motorcycles. And I think at this point, I don't know if they ever explain it fully, but you can kind of guess that the reason that they go and like around and beat people up is because I think they're hoping it'll lead to the dojo. Like it's all trying to like get people to be scared so that they want to learn self-defense. Like basically what happened to Casey where he got mugged and so that led him to signing up for the dojo and giving
yeah,
them his money.
yeah. They kind of confirm that Casey does, and I'll explain when that
Okay.
happens.
And so while they're out trying to beat somebody up, Anna gets shot by this one guy because they forgot to ask him politely if he has a weapon. And so she gets shot and Casey becomes a man is how I described it because he
Wow,
earned his red stripe for killing that guy.
that's so funny. Because I always tell Kayla I haven't become a man until I save someone's life.
Really?
Yeah, just as a joke.
Oh. Well, now you know.
That's
What
really
kind
funny.
of would you get a green stripe for that?
Sure. I don't know.
There you go. Feels like a womanly thing to do though. So I
Save
don't know if
someone's
you would
life.
yeah, so I feel like you would take a step
Ew.
back.
You
That's
think I'm gonna save someone's life?
that's kind of embarrassing.
Look out for numero uno. That's yourself, bro.
And after this, after they run away, they get away from the scene, and Casey takes Anna home. And I really like the story that she tells, where she basically it's about how she operates within the ecosystem of the dojo.
Hmm.
And the only reason that she tells the story of her red stripe, because I think he asks her about it, or maybe she just tells him. And it's because the men of the dojo underestimated her. And even though, so I think she said that this guy was like, or she was better than this guy and she knew it. But she would hold back because she just knows that's how she's supposed to. That's how she's supposed to operate within the dojo,
Hmm.
basically. And one day after a class, I think after a night class, they came into her little like dungeon looking thing, her locker room, and they tried to attack her. She says attack, but I wonder if it means like, not just like beating her up, if you know what I mean. But basically, they come and attack her, and she beats the guy up so badly that she kills him. And I think she says she choked him with his own belt,
Yeah.
which is pretty gnarly. Um, and even though she was attacked, she said that Sensei told her it was her fault for tempting. I think she said tempting the belt or tempting the something.
Yeah. The blue or brown belt or something. Whatever the
Yeah, because
guy.
he was above her. He got a belt above her. Um, but yeah, I said it's a tale as old as time.
Mm.
where apparently, even though she was minding her own business, she was even trying to change herself to make him feel better, that he still didn't like it. And then so she ended up having to kill him.
Hmm.
But even after all that, he says, "No, it's your fault. You shouldn't have." Yeah, but like, what were you wearing? Like that kind of shit,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And after Casey drops her off, he heads to the dojo in the middle of the night and finds a tape of his mugging. And he not only does he see like what happened to him, but he hears Sensei talk about how miserable Casey's life must be, and that they should just end his life. Because I think the guy that Anna beat the shit out of is like he wants to earn his red stripe.
Yeah.
And Anna basically saves Casey's life by pretending to hear sirens. And I like how she's like they're like, well, we don't hear anything. And she's like, well, women can hear better or something like that.
Yeah.
She's like using their whole like thing against them. That's what this isn't the same, but I always make the joke that like I'm the only time I'm not a feminist is when I have to go get like my car done.
Oh,
They get work done on my car. I'm like, yeah, but women don't know about cars.
that's
Like
funny.
it's like has those vibes.
Yeah.
Um, and then we see Sensei burn Henry's dead body, and the way
Yeah,
he does
because
it is
he
like,
had killed himself.
oh,
Yeah,
did he? I
yeah,
think I
he
missed
had
that.
he died by suicide. He hung himself with his belt. I think because he was so distraught because
Oh,
of everything.
I can't believe I guess I looked away for a second. I do remember him cutting him down, but I thought he just like yeah, I
No,
don't know. I
no,
guess I missed
yeah,
that for a second.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then he burns his body. He doesn't. Yeah, it's very strange. Um, and he does it as if it's a chore, akin to like vacuuming and scrubbing the toilet that he does. Like he just looks like he's
Un-
inconvenienced by it.
unfazed.
Yeah, it's very strange. And it's really scary because it makes me think that it's happened before.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, he has his red stripe too. So
Oh yeah, true. But who's to say? Also, I guess we can talk about theories after, but I have a theory for that. Um, and so after this, Casey tells Sensei, he like shows up to the dojo and he tells him that he's going to kill him because he hates him and he wants to kill him. Like
so
these little speeches he has are so funny.
yeah, this is where he tells him, like, as he's telling him why he's gonna kill him, he tells him because he's blackmailing the current students to keep on playing even after they leave
Mhm.
because like with the video evidence. And he says he says it, he words it in a weird way. He says like you're also giving private lessons like unsolicited, essentially. So
Mm.
he gave
Yeah, I forgot about
the
that.
Sensei gave Casey a lesson, a private lesson, if you will, if you and
I like that
and
he mentions it like that. He's not like, "You killed my dog." He says, "You give me private lessons I didn't ask for."
exactly. So
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
And then he calls him by his real name, Leslie, which he says is a lot more feminine than Casey.
It's so
Which
funny.
honestly, I agree.
I like
I
I'll
like
say
that
this.
moment too, that like the actor that plays Sensei, the way he's like very surprised, like, what the fuck?
Also, how would he
Love
not find out? He says like, "All right, yeah, I used that to make you angry or something."
it.
Super frank.
And then Sensei tries to bribe him, but he says, "No, I'm going to challenge you to a fight to the death." And as they're about to start, Casey pulls out a gun and shoots him. And I think when I shouldn't laugh at this, but that kind of made me laugh when I first watched it. It makes me think of, okay, nobody say anything about this, but I've never seen Indiana Jones. But I do remember
Mm,
that like famous scene. I do know about that famous scene where like they're supposed to do a sword fight, but then he just shoots him instead. It's very
yeah,
it
very
reminds me of
reminiscent.
that. And then he says two things to Sensei, and I actually had to pause to like write all this down because I wanted to say it word for word. So he says, first, you would say that using this, and he's talking about the gun, makes me a weak man. And without question, it does. But I am alive, and you are dead. So I would argue that it makes you the weaker man. And then the second is, he says, it's a quote from a movie. And it says, I don't play by the rules. Or no, what? Oh, I didn't play by the rules, but there were never any rules.
There you go.
Which I really liked. And that's they show that in the beginning where he's like watching that movie.
Mhm.
And then he lies to the other students as they show up, and he tells them that he punched his finger through his head, through the sensei's head, and killed him using like a
Yeah.
technique or something.
Yeah, so this is kind of a detail we kind of forgot. So sensei, the I forget what they called him, like grandmaster or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Uh, so he said that he had this technique where he would kill men
Mm-hmm.
with by punching a hole through their skull just with one finger.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how it comes back because it makes you think: did the grandmaster actually have a technique that he didn't tell anyone, or was it just like Casey?
I mean, probably not, because what we also didn't mention was when Sensei was talking about this grandmaster, where he says that he made a or not yellow belt. He made a rainbow belt and he gave it to himself, and it was
That's
the
so funny.
highest belt, like the highest honor. And that kind of makes you. It made me think of like just like presidents and senator, like all these titles
Oh,
that are man made, and that people just. I mean, I know people don't just give it to themselves, but it does feel silly to be like, I'm the queen. Why? Because somebody back in the day told me that my family was royalty. Like, it's just very
right.
strange. But yeah, honestly, because of that, I'm thinking no. Because like, he could just tell people that.
Yeah,
Who
and
actually
that's
knows?
exactly what Casey does.
Yeah.
He lies to them. He during one of the night classes, and it's just I like how they when he sticks his finger, you could just like hear it.
You hear it and then you don't know until the next scene, like what he did.
Yeah, what he's doing.
I like that too. And then he uses the dog, the new dog that he got. I forgot to mention that he got a German Shepherd. That they just like it just somebody just put it in his house. And so he uses that dog to kill the guy that killed his dog because he sees like a bite mark on his arm.
Hmm.
And then he gives Anna. I do like this moment where he takes out the black belt, which I think is Sensei's, and he says that even though he took it, he didn't earn it, and so
Hmm.
he gives it to Anna, and so now she's the leader, and she shuts down this idea that basically the black and white idea of the men and women thing about like violence is the only way to like be strong, and compassion makes you weak, and yeah, and she just brings a new order to the dojo. And then we see I like the shot with the credits where it's
Oh,
we learn that Casey is teaching the kids class now, but we don't see it. We just see the picture of the grandmaster and then the picture of the dog, like
that's
his dog that died.
such a perfect ending for this movie because the
Mhm.
last lines are like, "And now I'm gonna begin to, or now I'm gonna teach you how to punch with your feet." And
Yeah,
it's perfect.
I really like it. And one thing I had two theories I want to talk about. One I wrote down is, and maybe this is just overanalyzing, but the 11th rule is, if you notice, it's like on a different paper than the rest. So does that mean, I mean, they say, I feel like it might be just me overthinking because they do say that their grandmaster, I hope that's what he was called, but that he was
Was
killed
killed.
by a gun. So maybe that's why that was added, but maybe it was added after his death. But I part of me was like, did he add that? Did they add that after Casey got the gun? Like, were they trying to shame him? But I'm
Oh
thinking maybe not.
no, I don't think so because it
Maybe
was
the 10
there.
rules were like when Grandmaster was alive and then they added that after.
That's what I think because during when we first meet Anna and see her teaching the kids, we see the 11th rule still there.
Well, that's what I mean, but it just the indicator to me that it's different or added would was added at a different time is because it's like
Right.
it's added on the bottom. But I think I'm just thinking too much into it. Another theory that I think could be true is, do you think Sensei killed Grandmaster?
Oh,
In the
maybe.
same fashion that he wanted power. And
I
so,
I could definitely see that, especially because we don't know how he got his red stripe.
yeah.
And also just he's not a good person whatsoever. And the way he tells the story, it's like the way his master died was someone mistake. How do you say that?
Mistook is the right.
Okay,
It just
mistook
sounds
him
weird,
for a
but
bird,
oh
which is
yeah.
like, and shot him in the face. So I like that theory. I don't know if it'll ever be proved or disproved, or if it already has, but I subscribe to it.
Well, that's all I needed to know. Another thing. God damn it. What was I gonna think? Oh, and what do you think about this ending? I like it, but I think it's like the first. What I thought now after watching it is that I feel like it's a realistic ending, because part of me, or what I think is, to get away from this cycle that it seems Sensei has of, like, of what am I trying to say? So it's kind of like the idea that once we have a woman president, that
Mm,
sexism is gonna be done. Like, in the same thought of people thinking, because we had a black president, that racism was over.
right.
Like, just because there's a woman, basically my reaction to the ending is just like that's not the ending that I wanted. As somebody who wants to, like, stomp out this toxic masculinity, you don't put somebody else in charge, you burn the entire dojo down. Because that
Yeah.
system is always, no matter what happens, that house, that, like, dojo itself has that energy of being what it used to be. It
Yeah.
has the blood of, I mean, Henry, like you said, he died in the dojo because of what happened. Like, so many people died there because of their actions. And
At least
so,
3 I can think of.
exactly. And who knows how many more. So, like, who's to say that she won't actually do what she set out to do, because she's still operating within a system that is built by men that despise her.
Well, at least in this movie, well, yeah, I guess so.
It's like, we don't want a new. It's a whole thing about, like, it reminds me so much of what the conversations that are happening now, where people are like, we don't want to reform stuff, we want to destroy it, and
Mhm.
we want to build something new. And so that's basically what this movie is like, you can't reform sexism, you got to get rid of it. And so I like the ending, because that it feels kind of, at least if you're not thinking too much about it, it feels like a good ending, because you're like how Casey looks at the end, where he looks like really happy and triumphant. But when you think about it more, you're like, yeah, but that's not, do you really want that? Like, why are you trying so hard to be in the system that hates you? And you can't change it. There's still going to be men that,
There's still the other guys in the night
yeah.
class.
So I don't know. But that's what I mean, though. I like that ending of, like, this is um a false hope, that I
Yeah.
don't think you can actually reform what has happened,
It's a
because too
good
much has happened.
good movie. I
Really,
liked it.
really good. I liked it even more. I think my experience throughout this entire year has really made me think a lot differently about this movie.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, like, and also thinking more critically about it, where if
Mhm.
I didn't realize how much I would think about what's happened throughout our, like, society, because we live in a society. I'm so sorry.
We do.
um yeah,
All
loved it
right.
a lot.
Yeah,
What prop
great
would you
great movie.
steal? There's a lot of good props.
I'd probably take a belt or the photo of
The
the
dog.
dog. Yeah.
I would want, if I couldn't have the dog, I'd want the blanket.
Yeah, I was about to say the blanket too.
A belt would be
Blanket's a
good
good
too. I need a belt.
one. Cry for
All
help.
right. Okay, now let's get to our family tree game. So just to remind people, I'll just talk about our ground rules. But basically, this is if you know about 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, then that's basically what this is. We're going to take one one actor from the movie before, which was Nomadland, and one actor from this movie, and we'll try to connect them using only movies and TV shows. And as we established last time, this is a closed notes
I have nothing written down.
situation.
I have nothing.
The only thing I've written down is the name of the actor,
Okay, I have Frances McDormand.
because that's truly the only option.
Yeah.
All right. I have Imogene Poots.
I knew it. Okay.
All right. Put 5 minutes on the clock and we'll be right back.
Okay. So I had a connection, but like we discussed off air, it is broken. It is not real. Can't happen. So what I had was Frances McDormand was in Fargo with Steve Buscemi, who was in Grown Ups with Adam Sandler, and I was going to connect Adam Sandler to Patrick Stewart through SNL because Adam Sandler was a cast member and Sir Patrick Stewart was a host, but they weren't on the same episode or the same season, and we made that rule. Then
Yeah,
and
I would
there.
say same season.
Same season at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Patrick Stewart was in the green room with Imogene Poots.
That
So
would have been good. I feel like
that
there's
would've
a
been
way you
good.
could go from. That's a thing that's hard is that you can connect them to people that have been in a lot of shit. Like
Yeah.
there has to be a way that you can connect Patrick Stewart to somebody in the X-Men movies.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, but I just
That's hard though because I don't know the subtitles.
I do. I mean, I could have easily done like Days of Future Past and then to Quicksilver and then to everyone else in the Marvel. You could have gone
Why
that,
didn't
but
you do that?
I couldn't. I don't know Adam Sandler. Like I know
I think
there's
that would have been too many.
yeah, it would
Because
have been
I
a lot.
have 4.
Oh,
Okay, I can't believe I did this, but we
no.
have to fact check. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Imogene Poots was in a movie called Frank and Lola with Michael Shannon. They play
Okay.
love interests. Yeah,
Why?
just let that. Yeah, exactly. Michael Shannon was in a movie called Revolutionary Road. I think. I don't know if you want to check that with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Revolutionary Road,
Yes,
2008 film.
is that what it's called? Revolutionary Road.
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, that's correct because I know they're
Yeah,
in a
Michael
movie.
Shannon
And
and
Leonardo
Leonardo
DiCaprio.
DiCaprio.
Okay, Leonardo DiCaprio was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Pitt was in a movie called Burn After Reading with Frances McDormand. That's 4. Let's do yours real quick though, because I'm interested. So, do you want to do from Adam Sandler or Patrick Stewart?
Patrick Stewart,
Patrick Stewart was in Days of Future Past
X-Men: Days of Future Past. Yes.
with
Quicksilver. I don't know his name.
with Adam Sandler. Quicksilver. Peter. No. What the fuck is his name?
Oh, I don't know. We could also do. I didn't know if there's something in The Greatest Showman, like Hugh Jackman could have done Logan.
Mm.
Hugh Jackman, gone Greatest Showman. I don't know. We could do a whole podcast on this. Honestly,
I want to do it though. What is Adam Sandler in? He was
well,
in.
do you want to see? Because our sister, sent us a website that does this. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
It's called Oracle of Bacon. So let's just look up. Well, we can do Patrick Stewart. Stewart and Adam Sandler, but then we'll also do the one that we said and see if what the
Oh, you
fastest one
can do it to 2 different people?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you could only do it to Kevin Bacon.
no. Adam Sandler was in The Wedding Singer with Kevin Nealon, and Kevin Nealon was in Jeffrey with Patrick Stewart.
When the guy
Okay.
had. Oh yeah, interesting. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, let's do Imogen Poots and Frances McDormand. Frances McDormand was in Almost Famous with Philip Seymour Hoffman, who was in A Late Quartet with Imogen Poots.
What? That's deep dive though.
Yeah. This is
Well,
like, there's multiple ones that we could do. Very deep.
if there's somebody at home that can finish Anthony's to connect Adam Sandler with Patrick Stewart, let us know. Because
Yeah.
there has to be a way to do it. I don't think you could do it within less than mine.
Oh, no, probably not.
Oh, and I don't even know what to make you watch.
The second one after?
Huh?
That's the
Oh
second.
yeah. Do that.
Okay.
Is that still on something? It's like at Just Watch.
Oh, if not, you're paying for it.
No, I'm not gonna. You sure Kayla doesn't have it on DVD? What is it
She
after
Kayla can
we
recite it.
acted out for you?
Is it After We Collided?
Oh, it's on Netflix. Thank God. Thank God.
What would we have done?
I would have picked a good movie, but no, I had to build up to this movie because there's a specific scene I need you to see. And when you watch this movie, Anthony, can you please text me when you see the scene?
Okay.
You'll know what it is.
Gross. Okay. For next episode,
So sad.
whatever.
You did well. I think if you had like maybe an hour, or if you could, I feel like if you reminisce about it for the next few days, then the next recording you'll be able to figure
Yeah,
it out.
I knew you were gonna pick Imogen Poots because you like her, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew I needed to work on my side, the Frances McDormand side, and once I had Steve Buscemi,
Yeah.
the rest was like,
What I typically do is that's what I do in my head is I pick one person for each of them that I know is in a ton of shit. And for Imogene Poots, I knew I could connect her to Michael Shannon, which I knew you couldn't do. And then with Frances McDormand, I knew I could connect her to Brad Pitt.
yeah.
But with Michael Shannon, I could not think of anything he was in.
Man of Steel. There's Knives Out.
I know, but all I could think of was Kevin Costner's in it. But even then, I was like, I don't even know if I'm sure about that.
uh,
But I did it, so it doesn't matter. All right, what are we
yeah.
watching next time?
We're watching Palm Springs.
Oh, okay. I almost picked that last time.
Really? I've been wanting to pick it. I just keep on forgetting. Good movie. Hour 30. Quick 90 minutes. It's on Hulu. So go watch it for next episode. This is episode 70, by the way. I didn't know.
Oh,
So
fun.
there's that.
There you go.
Fun fact. All right.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.